Good morning, everyone. This is Jeffy Kennedy, author of epic fantasy romance. I'm here with my first cup of coffee. Oh, delicious. Today is, say it with me, people, say it proudly. It is Friday. Woo-hoo. Um, a good Friday because it's been a week, hasn't it? Uh, yeah, the if you follow U.S. politics, it's crazy. It's only getting crazier. I do have some hopeful things to say. I've got a number of things to talk about today. Where I'm at in work, since this is ostensibly a writing podcast, but also I want to talk about the nature of fear and things I've been learning about coping with bad news. And I want to tell you a couple of stories, and I want to address the person who left a comment on the podcast earlier this week. I don't know if you're a regular listener or if you just happened to pop in. I'm not sure if this person's even a subscriber because I didn't go look. I scanned the comment and I removed it. But this is for the person who was shocked in all caps about my politics and lectured me on the nature of good and evil, and implied that I had been brainwashed by mainstream media and that I didn't understand that. I mean, there was a lot. There was a couple of paragraphs there. And this is my podcast, so I get to talk. And I removed the comment because I didn't feel like that level of um, crazy. I'm sorry, I'm just going to call it crazy, needed to be out there in the world. This person said that they love my books, which great, but I don't understand why. If you feel that Trump is good because he wants to end the war in Ukraine. And another thing this person went on to say was something about how, like, evil sometimes wears a mask. And it's like, yeah, evil does sometimes wear a mask. So I want to talk about what the nature of good and evil is so far as I understand it and why I write about it. Uh, to go for something as simplistic as Trump wants to end the war in Ukraine, yeah, okay, I'll grant you that. That's true. He wants to end the war by giving Ukraine to Putin, to an authoritarian overlord, which the people who actually live in Ukraine and govern Ukraine do not want. So if you gloss over the fact that what they want doesn't matter, yeah, sure, okay, that war would come to an end, but that's a war being fought for a reason. And if we want to quantify things like, which is difficult and partly why so many writers write about it, what is good, what is evil, what is the gray area between? Because one thing that is very true for all people is that we all want to believe we're good. And one question that's being asked a whole lot on social media this week is, why are the people who voted for Trump and won the election, why are they still so angry? Because they're out there on the internet still screaming at us. And it's, what is the nature of that anger? Why aren't they happy? Ostensibly they got what they voted for, right? Um, and I think a lot of it has to do with them not being happy in the first place. People who are angry, people who are full of fear, are people who are easy to manipulate. And I'm sorry if that offends you, if that hurts you. Uh, but it is the truth that Trump ran on fear, which is why the people who were worried about inflation voted for him, and the people who were wanting to send all of the immigrants home. Uh, that was based on fear. People talking about wanting this country to be all white Christians and not having any diversity, being afraid of the queers. I'm putting that in quotation marks because I feel like people don't always know what they mean when they say that. So, evil. Evil is destroying someone else's life. Evil is taking somebody else's life and doing damage to it, from the extreme of murdering them, taking away their life, to taking away their ability to live happily, to taking away their choices. That is the evil in the world. And it doesn't matter if you think that you know better for them. The the point is that you don't get to decide for other people. And it's an unfortunate thing about religion, especially as it manifests in this, I'm going to call it Trump Christianity, because I have a number of friends who are practicing Christians who are appalled by what's happened with this state of Trump Christianity, to the point of, like, they want to put Trump Bibles in school. And when people point out that Trump is a person who has broken every single one of the Ten Commandments, uh, that's glossed over. He's it's not at all clear why Christians love him so much, except that they feel like he gives them power. I don't know. Uh, but one of the first things that's going to happen is going to be mass deportation. Trump has promised it. He wants it. Other people want it. People are preparing for it. Uh, what's probably going to happen is that there is not money to deport millions of people. So they are probably going to be put into camps where they will be left. They will be imprisoned. They will not be given food, and they will sicken and die. And it doesn't matter what, if you want to come to me and say, well, they shouldn't have come here illegally. If you believe that someone should be punished by being imprisoned and left to die, then that is evil. That is evil and wrong. It is not up to us to decide how other people live their lives. And if you want to tell me that this somehow impinges on your life, that somebody living here takes something away from you, that somebody practicing a different religion takes away from you in some way, that somebody having a certain kind of sex somehow affects your life. No, it doesn't. You always have the option to look away. You always have the option to control your own life. You always have the option to change yourself, to make your part of the world a good one. And by a good one, that means a place where people can flourish. Hate has no place in any of that. So I wanted to address that. Um, yeah, that's all I'll say on that topic. You can leave comments again. I will probably delete them if they are not rational. And yeah, it's my podcast. I decide what's rational. Um, One thing that I've been doing for myself lately is I'm concentrating more on yoga. I always say that I am a very bad yoga practitioner, for which my yoga teacher chided me. And she reminded me that the whole point of yoga is for ourselves, right? We have a theme here, uh, to improve that mind-body connection, that yoga is entirely about um, spirit and body, mind and heart. Uh, it's not about being able to perform in a particular way. And it's easy to get hung up on that idea of performing in a particular way. And I feel like that's something I talk about a whole lot on this podcast. That, like the knife throwing analogy, that desire to do things in the correct way, the laudatory way. And it's not the case. That's not why we're here on this planet. We're not here to impress other people. We're not here to have people praise us and clap for us or give us awards. You can decide what we are here on this planet for, but I'm pretty sure that no matter what philosophy you follow, if any, uh, the one of the consistent threads, and I was a comparative religious studies major in college, so I was always very interested in consistent threads. But one consistent thread that is pretty much undeniable, I feel like not even uh, the Trump reverse speak, truth becomes lies and lies become truth view of the world can change this, but it's that you cannot take it with you, right? When we die, we leave a corpse behind, and we don't get to take anything with us. Nothing at all. I don't get to take my shiny gold trophy. I don't get to take any money. All we take with us are ourselves, and that is the accumulation of what we have learned, the deeds that we have done, who we have been. If you live your life in hate and fear, then that's what goes with you, right? So, one of the things that I've been doing is this special 6 week class, 6 session class on hatha yoga that helps to shore up the basics. And a lot of yoga teachers are taking this class, okay, people. So, like I'm trying not to be self conscious. Um, and I'd asked my yoga teacher when she brought up the class because it sounded really interesting to me. I said, so is this because a couple of the people who come to our class I know also teach yoga, and one was asking her about it, and so I was like, oh, maybe this is not for me, right? And so I went to my teacher Melissa and I said, is this do you think I would get something out of this class, or is it for people who are more yogini than I? And she said, you are an excellent yogini, which actually made me tear up a little bit. I don't know why I have emotional attachment to that, but I do because I do feel like I'm not as flexible as I could be. I don't have the balance that I could. I am not the yoga poster child by any stretch, but it's really important to me to do this as aggressive self care. I feel like before I've been talking about aggressively refilling the well. And I mentioned this to a friend of mine that I was doing this as aggressive self care. And he said, I really love that phrase. And it's like, yeah, it's we kind of talk about these things, like self care and refilling the well as being things that we sort of do passively or we do in the interstices. And it's, like you take your hot bath at the end of the day. I know I'm always going on about that, like the hot bath is being self care. And I don't know if you all get aggravated with me, but that always strikes me as so absurd. Like, why is the hot bath self care? Maybe because it feels like such a time delimited thing. It's like, oh, go take a hot bath and you'll be fine. And it's like, no, no. We need aggressive self care, especially in the US, what we're in for. It's a time of uncertainty. It's a time of lawlessness. There is a certain element of men out there. Apparently, one of the surprises, at least to some of us, of the election was the Gen Z men, the young men in their 20s who voted very solidly for Trump and who have been uh, going out there and talking about how women should be property, that their solution to dealing with women is uh, to put them under control again. And that way they don't have to like become the guy that women want to be with. And it's, no, okay, well, I guess it's one, I want to say it's a solution, but it's not because it won't work. You think that if you have control of a woman, then she won't be able to leave you and she will have to have sex with you and she will have to like you. And, you cannot force another human being to do something. So that comes back to the definition of evil, right? You don't get to make other human beings do things. And one thing that's become clear is that a lot of these guys don't view women as actual human beings. The mind of a child, there's all sorts of rationales, um, and none of them make sense. Uh, but yeah, you don't get to control other human beings. You don't get to enslave other human beings, which is what making women into property would be. Uh, and yeah, yeah, evil. I'm dwelling on that particular thing, I know. So anyway, I started taking this class. It was supposed to start last Wednesday, and we had this epic snowstorm. So we had a makeup class. I went Monday night, and I went this Wednesday night. And it's actually been one of the best things that I could do for myself, because the so many of us are feeling so upset about this election. Feeling afraid of what's going to happen, feeling anger, uh, feeling trepidation. And one of the things that yoga looks at is that you have to purge yourself of anger and fear, because they cloud the mind, they gum up everything, and it doesn't do any good, especially something like imagining the future, which is what we've been doing a whole lot. Um, and I think that that's one thing where we come back around to, like, why are people who voted for Trump, who got what they want with this election, why are you leaving comments on my podcast? Why are you still yelling at me? I mean, if you believe that you are so right and that the world is going to be a better place now, why are you not feeling compassionate about that? Why are you not sitting back and saying, this is going to be fantastic? That just wait and see. All of you who are so worried and afraid, don't be, because it's going to be wonderful. Instead, you're angry and you're yelling at us and leaving these uh, comments trying to browbeat us. I don't understand what you want other than to keep yelling, right? So, you can yell, but we don't have to listen. What we can do is we can love. We turn it around. We can refuse to be ruled by fear. We can refuse to be ruled by anger. We don't have to listen to your crazed rants and your distortions of reality. And it doesn't matter how many times you try to turn that back around. We know what reality is like. Um, we we have access to truthful analyses. And one of the things that I've been learning in this yoga class, the tenets of Hatha yoga, one of them is the idea of nonviolence. And our teacher, Melissa, was inviting us to talk about what that means to us. Because like in the Buddhist tradition, it comes, like veganism, refusing to even step on an ant. Uh, what does violence mean in our lives, and how are we not violent? And that was kind of my choice to remove that comment rather than replying, because I simply cleared it away, right? I didn't need to read it. Nobody else needed to read it. I don't need to respond, because in many ways, and this is something that's been evolving for me, because there are some people that I cut out of my life in 2016. And again, now people in parasocial relationships. And I had made the comment in one of my author groups that I didn't want to be connected to anyone who had voted for what I view as being some terribly evil things to come. And a very good friend of mine messaged me and said, I feel like you should know that someone very close to me did vote this way. And, I understand if you don't want to be connected to us. And that took a moment, because this is someone who's very important to me. And I'm appalled. I'm upset that this connection, this mutual of ours, is someone who wanted what's going to happen. But I thought, maybe I'm wrong in wanting to cut people off, because I do think that a lot of people are really confused. There's been a lot of misinformation. People think that they're voting for one thing and they're going to get something else. And maybe for me, part of the nonviolence is being compassionate and trying to flow out love even to those people. So that's where we are at. I did say I was going to talk about my work, and I haven't yet. I did start over revising this book from the beginning this week. I've got galleys coming, paper copies, ARCs that I can share. So if you think you want one, now might be a good time to ask. And what else? Yeah, it's going slowly. I knew that I was going to cut chapter 2 and replace it with a new one. So I rewrote the new chapter 2. I feel like I've been struggling with voice on this book, which is interesting. Um, my wonderful bestie Grace Draven said, if you've already written 80,000 words on this book, you do have the voice, which I thought, oh, well, maybe that's a point. It hasn't been where I wanted it to be yet. But no, getting there. So I'm going to get to work. I hope you all have a wonderful weekend. And I hope that you can find ways to aggressively care for yourself, seek joy, um, shun fear and anger. Fear and anger do nothing for us. Love and joy do everything. And that's what we are here for. So I will talk to you all on Monday. You all take care. Bye bye.